glutton for punishment, are we? So you mashed your head with Coaching Basics Part 1 and you thought, I'll have a bit more of that. I'm going to have a look at Coaching Basics Part 2. Well, welcome along. So last time out I showed you the coach assignments page, which was found by going to training, coaches along the top here, and then edit coach assignments. And like I said last time, in here this is showing you all of the coaches that you've got employed at your club, including the under-23s coaches, which again I'll reiterate can be used for your first team training. It shows you, if you hover over them, it shows you all the attributes of that coach, and it allows you to put them into the right coaching area, so to get the best out of your coaching system. Okay, that's fine, but where do we go to set up this coaching system within a week's training? Okay, next step. So if we close that down, so we've gone training, click the training tab on the left hand side, and we've got training, the training page up. So if we click calendar, and this will give you, so as we speak in game now, we're the 5th of July 2021, and this is showing in this box here, it shows you the training for July 2021. So this whole section here is weekend in the 11th of July, this section weekend in the 18th of July, 25th, 1st of August. So these whole sections are a week's training. So we can break down a week now into days, obviously Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And within a day we have 3 possible training slots. So by way of example, if we go to weekend in the 18th of July, on the Monday we're going to do 3 training slots. One's physical, 1 outfield, 1 team bonding. The next day on the Tuesday we've got match tactics. We're travelling because we've got a game on the Wednesday, match preview. On game day it will always be rest, game, rest. The day after, depending where you've been, if you've been at home there'll be no travelling, if you've been away there'll be travelling, then you'll have a recovery session and then a rest period. Friday we've got overall, which is an overall team training day. We've got travel again because we've got a game on the Saturday, match preview, rest, Stranraer, rest, and then on the Sunday we're travelling back from Scotland, recovery and rest. So that's a whole week's training. Now that can alter, obviously, if we have no games at all in the week, which obviously can happen through a week. These individual modules will be changed. So on the Wednesday we would probably do some training on the Wednesday there, we would do some training on the Saturday. All of this can be changed to your liking. Now I must say at this point, if you watched 25 different tutorials on training, they will all be different. There's no hard and fast rules to training. You train, if there's no games that week, your training schedule will be different. If you've got 2 matches that week, your training schedule will be different. But a lot will depend on your own requirements as a manager and a coach. It will depend on your coaching system, depend on the tactics that you're using. So, you know, if you're using a very defensive approach, maybe you'll want to do a more defensive style of coaching. If you've got wing backs bombing on with no wingers, maybe you'll want to do more of that kind of, you know, maybe playing through the middle but using the wing backs overlapping. It can all be changed in here. So like I say, there are no hard and fast rules to this. This is not a do this because this will work. A lot of tutorials, the person who's made the tutorial will say, I've tested it out with other FM creators and we've won the Champions League with it. It works a treat for their style of play. They will give you a save file even that you can download and incorporate into your game, and you could use their training schedule as your own, and you just click the button and then you just forget about it and let it do its own thing. But obviously I'm trying to show you how you can set your own coaching and training schedules up It's a bit complicated, but it's a lot more fun. So when you've loaded the game and everything is ticking over, you know, you've done your scouting, you've set your tactic, blah, blah, blah. In the background, this is basically set up for you by default. None of this is blank. It's all set up for you and it's ready to go. And if you just want to leave it like that and you can't be messing about with all this kind of stuff, then that's fine. But if you want to get a little bit more in depth with it, then this is the way to go. So like I say, we've got a block here. So we're weekending 18th of July. This has all been set up for you. A little bit easier as an example would be the weekend of the 1st of August. We're playing one game against Manchester City at home. That's more than likely the first home game of the season, or the first league home game of the season. So the first module on the Monday will be physical, then it's outfield and a rest period. On the Tuesday, physical, outfield, rest period. If you wanted to change any of those modules, then it's quite easy. You basically just left click on, let's say we're going to do Tuesday, first module, click on physical, and this box opens. And it's physical is highlighted. It's basically telling you under here, it will tell you that this is for all the players, and it tells you the attributes, injury risk, condition, fatigue, all of that kind of stuff. Let's say we wanted to do we're playing City. Okay, big game, probably a tough game. Let's say we wanted to do some more work on defensive shape. If we click defensive shape, now this then opens 3 separate boxes underneath. It gives you the primary focus of this schedule, which is given a priority of 60%. It gives you a secondary focus, which you're only getting 20% out of, which is more of the attacking side of the game. And then the tertiary focus, which is the third schedule in here, is more on the goalkeeping, and they're only getting 20% out of it as well. So if we go to the primary focus, it's actually defensive shape. So you're really working more with the defensive players, but you are working with the attacking players as well, because a team works as a team. If you're defending, the attackers should be working within that as well. So we'll look at the impacts. Priority 60%, upcoming match, defensive positioning, marking, tactical familiarity. It tells you all of this stuff. Team cohesion increased. Attributes, individual roles. Now, an important point about this is when we're doing it a module such as defensive shape, when it says attributes, individual roles, that means that any players, I will go through this in a separate tutorial video, but if you are trying to train players, at the moment we're doing team coaching, team training. You can coach players individually as well. If you're coaching players individually, let's say one of your defenders, we could do with a bit more pace out of him. You might want to train a little bit more pace into him. That actually won't get done anywhere near as well if you've not got any of these schedules set up. So like defensive shape, there will be other ones as well. I mean, let's just click on attacking movement. So attacking movement is, we don't want to do that because we're playing City on Saturday. So this week we want to do the defensive side of the team. But if you notice, even attacking movement attributes individual roles. So there are certain modules within the training schedule that actually train individual roles as well. If you don't have any of those in your training schedule, that will greatly impact any individual training you've set up for players. It's quite an important point, that. So we're going to go back to defensive shape again. We've had a look at the primary focus. Secondary focus is on the attacking. Again, you can, upcoming match, defensive positioning. That is kind of teaching your attacking players the defensive side of the game, but you have to bear in mind they're attackers. They're not going to take it in as well as the defenders, so they're only going to get a 20% benefit out of this. And likewise the goalkeepers. Okay, you're going to say a goalkeeper, he's part of the defensive unit, but there are training schedules in the modules for goalkeepers. and in this module, they're only going to get a 20% gain. If we wanted to train the goalkeepers on a separate module, come over to the left-hand side, go to goalkeeping, and go to shot stopping. Now you can see primary focus, it's given a 60% focus on the goalkeepers. So that's basically how you can change the individual modules to fit your tactic, depending on who you're playing. Like I say, playing City, may want to do some more defending. You might even say, we're playing City, we're going to go for it. We're not going to defend. We're going to batter the hell out of them. So we're going to go for full-on attacking that day. Maybe would be a little bit dangerous against City, but you can do that. It's your team. You're the manager. You have the say on what you do. And then when we finish with that module, we'll just click the confirm button. And now you can see in that module there, we're actually training keepers on that day. We're training shot stopping. So, but like I say, you can put whatever you want in there. So you may say, actually, I quite like the look of this, but do I have to stick by these schedules? Do I have to come into this and alter bits? Is there no way that I can set this up from scratch? Yes, you can. So if we go to the next, on this toolbar along here, we've got the next button, schedules. And as you can see, there's nothing in there because we haven't worked on this yet. So if you click onto this button here, select schedule, and then a box opens, go down to create new schedule. And then you can see we've got the same box opens again that we had in the previous screen, but now every module is empty. But what this will allow us to do, this will allow us to now build our own coaching training schedule. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated now. You kind of have to know what you're doing, but then, you know, just have a play around with it. You can try all these things out in pre-season, see if they're working or not. So let's say, for instance, Monday morning, right, what do we want to do? Maybe we've had a really tough game on the Saturday or even the Sunday, and we're thinking, okay, the first module, Monday morning, we don't want to really push the players too hard. Let's go for some recovery training or something like that. Again, we can scroll down this left-hand side. So we've got general, match preparation, attacking, defending, technical, tactical, goalkeeping, set pieces, physical and extracurricular. If we click on the physical button, now we've got endurance, resistance, quickness and recovery. If we click on the recovery button, it enters it in that first module for you. It tells you down here what it's doing, and we're good to go with that one. Second module of the day. Maybe we want to step it up a little bit. Maybe we want to do a little bit of pace training or something like that. So we click on that one. If we stay on the physical, we can go to quickness. And these are all team. These are not individual or modules. These are all team. And if we read down again, the primary focus, attributes, acceleration, agility and pace. So we've had a recovery session in the morning. Now we're going for some maybe sprinting and that kind of thing. And then in the last module of the day, maybe we say, okay, it's a Monday. We've given them a recovery session. So that may be like, you know, light workout, little bit of lightweight training, that kind of thing. Quickness, bit of sprinting. Last period of the day or last module of the day, we've got to give them a rest period. So leave it on rest. So I'm not going to fill all of these in for you. As you can see, if you click on attacking wings, patience, direct, overlapping, defending engage, disengage, wide, ground defense, tactical, attacking shadow play, defensive shadow play. If you click on that button, it actually tells you what it does. As you can see now, because I'm still on that module, it's changed that from rest to defensive shadow play. But it just gives you another example of this is split into modules now. So we've got primary focus 60%, secondary focus 20, tertiary focus 20. But you can read all of that and you can see what's happening with all of that. And then we just click confirm. That will then fill those 3 modules up. You need to be aware as well of, if we just drop down a little bit into these, the bars that have got a green indicator in them. So that bar runs right across to here. So this is giving you a level of the training and the stress that it's putting on the players. So we can see there for the goalkeepers, it's giving them 60% of match intensity. Defenders, 54%. So what I'm trying to say is don't have that right over to one side for every training session, because you'll wear your players out really quickly. I mean, a good example of this. So if we go back into, let's say for instance, we had a game on Saturday here. So if we click that module there and come over to match day and click match, that means there's a match that day. We click confirm, okay. Look what's happened to the lines. They've gone right over, full blown in the red. A match is full exertion, but it just gives you the example of this is what happens when you play in a match. It's full on 100%. Well, you hope it's going to be 100%, as opposed to a training day when you're not pushing them 100%. The other thing to notice as well is by default, we've put a match in there. It's given us a rest period before and a rest period after that we can't change. It's dropped a match preview in the last module of the day before, and it's dropped a recovery session in on the first module of the day after. If that match was an away game, or let's say you're traveling to Spain or Scotland or whatever, this first module would be a travel module, and then the second one would be recovery. On the Sunday, it's entirely up to you what you do with this. Recovery, fine. We could have that as a travel, like I say, if we've been traveling away. If the recovery's into this one, we could have another recovery in there if we wanted to do. We've clicked on the module, we go to physical, we can put another recovery module in there, click OK. We've got two recovery modules now. Let's say we have played City, it's been a really tough game and our players have been run ragged. Let's have two recovery sessions in there. You can do what you want, it's entirely up to you. If you wanted to say, right, because there is in the team talks, there's a facility to, if they've played badly and got beaten, there's a facility to say to them, right, you've been absolutely abysmal today, you're in for training tomorrow. I know it's your day off, you're in for training. So in here, you could batter them with more training. I wouldn't advise it, but you can do. It's entirely up to you. And then for the last period there, we've got a rest period, which I think for the Sunday, you might want to drop a little bit more quickness in there, a little bit of strength training or something like that. The other thing to note as well is if we just go into this module here, if we go into match preparation, in there you can do, as you've seen in this module here, we've got match preview. So if we open this up and go to match preparation, you can do match tactics, teamwork, defensive shape, attacking movement, match practice we've already done. But in there you can put something more applicable to the match. You know, like the tactics that you want to use in that match. So you can click one of these, match tactics. That's all players again. And again, it tells you what it's going to do. So now we've got match tactics, a rest period, match preview. We've got rest, a match and rest. Be aware as well, if we're playing away, the match preview could be changed to a travel slot as well as the first slot on the Sunday. So that match preview. And that's the other thing to know. So if you set this up and you set a whole week with no gaming, and then maybe due to fixture congestion or schedules, you end up playing a game or two that week, the game will automatically drop games in, give you that travel, recovery, match preview. It'll give it, but be aware that the game will do that. It will prompt you, it'll tell you it's done it, but go in there and have a look what they've done, because you might think, right, well, that's not quite right. You've taken out my free kick training and I really wanted to do that week. So that needs putting in somewhere else in a different module. Just be aware of that. Now, the next thing I can't stress is so important in Football Manager. If we just have a quick look into dynamics and go to the happiness tab. So in here, the first column here is the morale of the players. You will also get indications in here about training, whether they're happy with the training, whether the treatment whether they're happy with the treatment, whether they're happy with the club, whether they're happy with you. There's lots of things in here, there's lots of information. As you can see at the moment, I mean, the players are on the holidays at the moment, so, you know, they've gone away, they're sunning themselves on a beach somewhere, so all of this is fine. You're not in a playing season, so they're all okay at the moment. But if we look, concentrate on this first column here, the morale, keep an eye on this. Keep coming back and having a look at this every 2 or 3 games. Or even if you've been on a little run, like say you've lost 2 games on the trot, come back in here, have a look. Because believe me, if this morale starts to drop, the odd player here and there, not too much of a problem. If morale drops for all the team, you will start getting problems. So the 2 ways of countering this, if we go, let's say we go to James Maddison, let's say his morale has dropped to poor. If we right click on James Maddison and then we go down to interaction and we go to speak about and then we go to praise player and praise conduct, that is a thing in the game where you can actually lift a player's spirits. And that is a way of it doesn't always work, but most times it will. So if James Maddison's on poor and you praise his conduct, that can lift his spirits slightly and he might go from poor to good. He won't jump up to superb, but he'll maybe go to good. So that's one way of doing it. The main way of doing it, and the more continuous way of doing it, if we go back to training again and go back into the schedule that we're working on, let's say the first session on Wednesday. So we click on that and we go all the way down to the bottom, extracurricular. And in here, we click on team bonding. Now, if we read down here what this is doing, happiness greatly increased, team cohesion increased, attributes, teamwork, upcoming match, teamwork, fatigue slightly reduced, conditions slightly reduced. The main thing in there is happiness is greatly increased, and that's for all of the team. Now, you can only use this once a week. You have to slot it in somewhere, and please make sure you slot one of these in somewhere in the week. Click confirm. Now we're doing team bonding, and that will have the effect on all of the players every week. You can only use it once. If you want to do another team bonding, so let's say for instance that rest period we've got on the Sunday, let's click on that, go to extracurricular again. Now you can see team bonding is greyed out, we can't use it again, but we can go to community outreach and we can click that, and then that one gives you team cohesion is slightly increased. Doesn't work as well as team bonding, but it's still another session where community outreach, the players will go out, or some of them will maybe in a group, they'll go out to maybe a local hospital, or they'll go and do a little bit of community outreach work and work with it, but it just increases that team bonding. And if we click confirm, we've now got 2 recovery sessions after the big Manchester City game, and then after that they can just put the casuals on, go out and do a bit of community outreach, get to know one another a bit more, and everybody's happy. Okay, so I'll just quickly fill this in. It's not perfect. It's not don't copy it, because I've just filled them in. I've just click buttons and fill them in. You know, you would want to work on this and set a routine that suits you and your tactic. But we've got one game in that week, the match period here on Saturday. So we're now going to save this as a schedule that we can put into our calendar. So we've come down to the bottom, which unfortunately can't see because my big head's in the way, but there's a save as button. So if we click save as, pick a name for the schedule. Because there's one game in this week, we're going to call it one match, and we're going to click OK. So if we go to the calendar button now, calendar, and let's say for instance now we're not in pre-season anymore. Let's say we're going to go to November. So if we go to the 21st of November, weekend in 21st of November, and that's a 1 game week, we're playing Tottenham Hotspur away from home in that week. If we go to this little button here, tactical style wing play. So by default, like I said before, by default, if you don't want to faff around with any of this, the game will automatically do it for you. But there's a drop down box here. If we go to that drop down box, and then we come over here, you can see at the moment, tactical style wing play. We could change it to park the bus if we wanted to. That would change the schedule completely. But because we've set a schedule up for a 1 match week, if we go to custom schedules, there is our schedule, 1 match. It's already named, we've already created it. If we click that now, watch that week, now it's changed to the schedule that we set up. It's like I say, don't copy this, it's not ideal, it's just an example to show you what to do. So as you can see in there now, we've got Monday morning, recovery, quickness, defensive shadow play, blah, 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 blah. We've got the team bonding in there, really important. We've got the set piece modules that I put in. We've got, now this is what I said before, because it's an away game at Tottenham, we've got match tactics, we've got travel, match preview, rest, game, rest, travel. So in that module that we created, we had 2 recovery periods, but because they've put a travel period in there, it shunted the 2 recovery periods over here into the last 2 modules of the day. So we're actually missing out on the extracurricular team bonding module that we had in there. Now that's up to you. If you say, right, Tottenham Hotspur, long journey, London, travelling, 2 recovery sessions, let's just leave it at that. I'm not too fussed about an extra team bonding session that week, that's fine. If you wanted to say, right, well, we'll take the recovery out, that last recovery series, you could click on that. This is what I say. When it changes it, it will notify you what the training is for that week, and then you need to go in and see if that's okay. This time we're saying, well, actually, no, it's not okay. We want to change that recovery session. So we've got to extracurricular, community outreach, confirm. And then that's changed the recovery session to community outreach. And you've got your 2 team bonding sessions back again. Whether you want to do that, whether you want to give your players the extra time recovering, that's entirely up to you. So lastly in this tutorial, I don't want to mash ahead too much. If we go to the week after, training style, defence. So this has been preset for us. It's more of a defensive based training week. But if we click the little downward arrow and we go back to custom schedules again, as you can see, we've got the 1 match in there. Now there is a 1 match, that it's a 1 match week, so we could do the same thing again. But if you go into schedules, you can set up as many schedules as you want in here. So you could name it 1 tough match a week, 2 matches, no matches at all. You might have a week where you want to solely concentrate, I mean, I don't think you would, but you might have a week where you solely concentrate on free kick taking. So you maybe would call it, 1 match free kick taking, 2 match free, but you can build as many up in there as you want to do. So then through the season, you can set this up how you want. I usually do it like maybe about a month at a time, 6 weeks at a time. So let's say we're in November. This is the schedule that we've set up, and we now want to go into December and set the schedule up for December. So we click on this button here, go to December's training, and now in here you can see this is all the default stuff. Training, you can tell immediately because it's not your named schedules. These are the preset ones. Physical, defense, attack, defense. If you want to change all of these, you'd look along, 2 games that week, 1 game that week, but it is Manchester United. 2 games that week. We've got Leeds away and Chelsea at home. Tough week, that one. You might have a schedule set up for that. So you go into here, click on the button, custom schedules, and select one of the schedules. It would be a 2 match schedule, and you might have it quite a light training week because you've got the 2 games. But then, again, importantly, if we look at that 2 game week, so on the Tuesday, we've got travelling, because it's an away game at Leeds, match preview, rest, Leeds, rest, travelling again, because it's an away game, recovery, and on this one, they've given a rest period, because, again, you've got to be aware, we're playing Chelsea on Saturday, so we don't want to push the players too hard. And then on the Friday, we've got attacking, rest, match preview, rest, Chelsea, rest. So you can see how it can all be built up, and you can make your own schedules up. You can have as many as you want in there. You can mix and match them just how you want. Well, I hope you found that informative, and it will help you understanding how the game is set up. Like I've said many times before, if you just want to load the game and press a few buttons and get everything done for you, then that's absolutely fine. But these tutorials are basically giving you, hopefully, a basic understanding of how all the different modules work: training, scouting, coaching. Anyway, so I think I'm going to leave it there for today, but keep your eyes out because there's more tutorials on the way. We'll see you next time.